Welcome to The Explainer. All right, let's talk about the AI king, OpenAI. For a while there, they were on top of the world, but now that throne is starting to look a little shaky. So what's their master plan to stay ahead of the pack? Well, we're going to break down Sam Altman's high-stakes Gambit.
And that quote right there, that really tells you everything you need to know about the mindset of OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman. Because right now, a healthy dose of paranoia might be exactly what you need as this AI race heats up like never before.
So, for what feels like the first time, OpenAI's dominance is genuinely being questioned. In response, CEO Sam Altman just laid out their entire high-stakes strategy, revealing exactly how they plan to win the AI war. Let's get into it. So, the first part of this whole strategy, it's all about how they react to threats. And at OpenAI, that reaction has a very specific name: Code Red.
Imagine this. A major competitor, say Google, drops a huge new model like Gemini. For OpenAI, that triggers a code red. It's an all-hands-on-deck moment. But here's the thing. Altman doesn't see this as panicking. Not at all. He sees it as a necessary drill. A way to stay sharp and ahead of the curve.
And the philosophy here is really the key. Altman actually compares it to fighting a pandemic. That aggressive, early action is way, way better than panicked action later on. So these code reds are these short, super intense sprints, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, designed to turn a threat into an advantage, making sure ChatGPT's lead doesn't just hold steady, but actually grows. Okay, so reacting to threats, that's defense. But what about their offense? What's the long-term play? Well, Altman's grand strategy is built on 3 fundamental pillars.
It really comes down to this. Build the best models, create the best product, and secure massive infrastructure to run it all. Now, that sounds simple, right? But doing all 3 of those things at a truly world-class level, that's the real challenge. And Altman believes the secret weapon isn't just the model, it's the product itself. Let's dig into that. See, this is the crucial point. It's not just about having the smartest AI on the block. Altman believes the real magic is in features like personalization and memory. Where the AI genuinely starts to know you. He calls these features extremely sticky. They create this deep sense of loyalty that's really, really hard for a competitor to break, even if they show up with a slightly smarter model.
Right, but this is the elephant in the room, isn't it? What about Google? They have this massive distribution advantage. They can push their AI to billions of users through search, through Android, you name it. So how on earth does a company like OpenAI even begin to compete with that? Well, Altman thinks he's found a critical weakness in their whole approach.
And this slide right here, this shows the core strategic bet. Altman argues that Google is basically just bolting on AI to its old products, like search. And he thinks that's just not the future. He's betting everything on the idea that the real winners are going to be the ones who create entirely new experiences, things built from the ground up with AI at their very core.
And this AI-first way of thinking, it isn't just for you and me, the consumers. No, OpenAI is aiming its technology at a huge new market, where the real growth is already starting to explode. Yeah, the next major battleground is enterprise. We're talking about businesses. And growth there is already outpacing the consumer side. OpenAI's big ambition here is to become the AI engine for the entire business world, powering everything from a tiny startup's code to a massive Fortune 500 company's entire workflow. And the reason they're making this huge push right now, it's because the tech just crossed a really critical threshold. So 74.1%. What does that number actually mean? Well, according to OpenAI's own internal tests, for nearly 3/4 of all knowledge work tasks, their latest model performs at or even above the level of human experts. Think about that. This is the turning point that makes that huge enterprise push not just possible, but inevitable. So when an AI can perform better than a human expert in 3 out of 4 tasks, what happens next? This quote from a technical copywriter shows you the real-world consequence. Entire jobs are being completely reshaped. A person first starts by managing the AIs and then, well, they're potentially replaced by them. Okay, but to power this AI-first world, for both regular people and giant companies, you need resources on a scale that is just, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. Yeah, $1.4 trillion. That is the staggering, mind-boggling long-term financial commitment that OpenAI has reportedly locked in. And this isn't just for software developers and code. This is for the physical world. Massive data centers, custom-designed chips, and just an insane amount of energy needed to power this future. So why? Why such a ridiculous number? Well,
Altman explains that most of us, our brains just aren't wired to really get exponential curves. We think linearly. But the demand for compute, for raw intelligence, it's not just growing steadily, it's exploding.
So here it is, the core economic gamble. OpenAI is betting the farm that for the foreseeable future, every single dollar they spend on building more computing power is going to generate more than a dollar in revenue. They believe the demand for AI is basically infinite.
Okay, so as these models get exponentially more powerful, funded by literally trillions of dollars, it forces us to ask a really fundamental question. Where is all of this actually heading? What's the end game? For decades, the goal in this field was always AGI, or artificial general intelligence. But Altman says we're now in this kind of fuzzy period where the term has almost lost its meaning. He argues it's time to stop debating about it and start defining the next much, much bigger milestone. And this is his proposed benchmark for what's next, superintelligence. And you have to listen to this definition very carefully. A system that can do a better job running a country, a major company, or a scientific lab than any human can. But here's the kicker. It's not just better than a human. It's better than a human who is also using AI as a tool. That is the moment the creation truly surpasses the creator. And that, right there, leaves us with the ultimate question. OpenAI is playing this incredibly high-stakes game to build the world's most powerful technology. If they actually succeed, if they create a system that can outperform all of humanity at the highest levels of strategy, of science, of discovery, what role is left for us? That's the future they're building towards.